Jack Keller's hands trembled as he stared at the final notice in his mailbox, the red letters, past due, burning into his retinas. This couldn't be happening, not now, not when his 7-year-old daughter Emma needed stability more than ever. "Daddy, why do you look sad?" Emma asked, tugging at the hem of his worn work shirt as they walked up the stairs to their modest 2-bedroom apartment. Jack quickly folded the notice and tucked it into his back pocket, summoning a smile he didn't feel. "Just boring grown-up stuff, sweetheart. How about we make spaghetti tonight?" "With the special sauce?" Her eyes lit up, momentarily making him forget the mounting bills. "With extra special sauce," he promised, unlocking their apartment door. Their home was small, but clean, a testament to Jack's determination to provide a decent life for Emma since her mother had walked out 3 years ago. He dropped out of college when Emma was born, taking whatever jobs he could find. Currently, he worked days at a construction site and nights as a security guard at Levine Towers, one of the most prestigious buildings in the city. After dinner and tucking Emma into bed, Jack sat at their small kitchen table with a calculator, bills spread before him. The construction company had cut hours, and his security job barely covered rent. Something had to give. His phone buzzed with a text from his sister. "Can watch Emma tomorrow night if you need extra shift." Jack exhaled with relief. His sister Rebecca was his lifeline, helping with Emma whenever his shifts overlapped. He texted back his gratitude and set an alarm for his early morning. The next evening found Jack at his post in the gleaming lobby of Levine Towers, his security uniform freshly pressed despite being several years old. The marble floors and crystal chandeliers made him feel perpetually out of place. "Evening, Jack," called Miguel, the doorman who'd become a friend over the past year. "Heads up, Miss Levine's having some corporate thing tonight. Lots of fancy cars and fancy people." Jack nodded, adjusting his tie. Jasmine Levine, billionaire CEO of Levine Enterprises, owned the building and rarely made appearances, preferring her penthouse sanctuary or international travel. He'd glimpsed her perhaps 3 times in his year working security. "Any special instructions?" Jack asked. Miguel shrugged. "Just the usual VIP treatment. Though between you and me, she looked stressed when she came in earlier." The evening progressed with a steady stream of expensive suits and designer dresses flowing through the lobby toward the private elevators. Jack maintained his professional demeanor, checking invitations and directing guests, though his mind occasionally drifted to the stack of bills waiting at home. Around 11, when the event was winding down, Jack noticed a commotion near the bar area. A woman with elegant chestnut hair pulled into a sophisticated updo was trying to extricate herself from a conversation with a persistent man in an expensive suit. Though she maintained a polite smile, her body language screamed discomfort. Jack hesitated, uncertain if he should intervene in what appeared to be a private matter between elites. But when the man grabbed the woman's wrist, Jack's protective instincts kicked in. "Excuse me, sir," Jack said, approaching with measured steps. "Is everything all right here?" The man, flushed with alcohol and entitlement, turned with a scowl. "Mind your own business. Rent a cop." The woman used the distraction to pull her wrist free. "Thank you, but I was just explaining to Mr. Hughes that I need to attend to other guests." Jack recognized her voice before her face, the refined tones of Jasmine Levine herself, though they'd never actually spoken. Up close, she was younger than he'd expected, perhaps in her early 30s, with intelligent green eyes that assessed him quickly. "Of course, Miss Levine." "Would you like me to escort you?" Jack offered, maintaining professionalism despite his surprise. "That would be helpful, thank you." She turned to her persistent admirer. "Jonathan, I'll have my assistant follow up regarding those contract questions." The man, Jonathan, straightened his jacket with a scowl. "This isn't how business gets done, Jasmine. Your father understood the value of personal relationships." Jack noticed her almost imperceptible flinch at the mention of her father, who had died unexpectedly the previous year, leaving his only daughter his business empire. My father valued integrity above all, Jonathan. Good night. She turned, and Jack fell into step beside her, creating a barrier between her and the still glowering man. As they moved away from the crowd, she exhaled slowly. Thank you. Security? She looked at his name tag. Keller. Jack Keller, madam, just doing my job. Well, your timing was excellent. Jonathan Hughes has been trying to negotiate a merger with my company for months, and apparently thought tonight's charity event was an appropriate venue for strong-arming tactics. They reached a quiet corridor, and she surprised him by stopping. Would you mind walking with me to the garden terrace? I need a moment before returning to the wolves. Jack hesitated. Of course, but I should alert the other security staff of my location. She waited as he radioed his temporary position to the team, then led him through a keycard-protected door to a spectacular rooftop garden. The city sparkled below them, and despite the early October chill, the space was heated comfortably with discreet outdoor heaters. Much better, she sighed, slipping off her stiletto heels and padding barefoot to a bench. These events are necessary evils, but sometimes I need to escape. Jack remained standing, hands clasped behind his back, unsure of the protocol for casual conversation with his billionaire boss. Please sit, she gestured to the bench. Unless it's against security protocol. No, madam. He sat, maintaining a respectful distance. Jasmine, she corrected. When I'm hiding barefoot on rooftops, I prefer Jasmine. Jack smiled despite himself. There was something disarmingly genuine about her in this moment, far from the intimidating figure he'd imagined. So, Jack Keller, how long have you been protecting the residents of my building? Just over a year on night shifts. I work construction during the day. She raised an eyebrow. That's quite a schedule. Jack shrugged. It works for now. For now, she repeated thoughtfully. What would work better, if you don't mind my asking? The question caught him off guard. Something with better hours, I suppose. My daughter's 7, and these split shifts mean less time with her than I'd like. You have a daughter. Her expression softened. What's her name? Emma. She's the reason for everything I do. Jasmine smiled, a genuine expression that transformed her features. That's beautiful. And her mother? Not in the picture, Jack replied simply. He'd long ago stopped explaining Emma's mother's departure. Jasmine nodded, asking no further questions on that subject. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment before she sighed. I should get back. Those donation pledges won't collect themselves. She stood, slipping her feet back into her heels. Thank you, Jack, for the rescue and the company. It's rare to have a conversation that doesn't involve strategic advantages or stock projections. Happy to help, he said, rising as well. As they walked back toward the event, she surprised him again. Would you mind staying nearby for the remainder of the evening? Jonathan tends to become more insistent after a few drinks. Of course. For the next hour, Jack maintained a discreet presence near Jasmine as she navigated the room, charming potential donors and deflecting unwanted advances from Jonathan Hughes with Jack's timely appearances. When the last guest departed, she approached him in the lobby. Thank you again, she said. You've been tremendously helpful. Just doing my job, Miss Levine. Jasmine, she reminded him with a small smile. Good night, Jack. As she disappeared into her private elevator, Jack couldn't help feeling an unexpected connection had formed. He shook his head at the ridiculous thought. She was Jasmine Levine, Billionaire CEO. He was a struggling single dad working 2 jobs to keep the lights on. Their worlds couldn't be further apart. The next morning, Jack dropped Emma at school before heading to his construction job, the encounter with Jasmine Levine already fading into the background of his daily concerns. When his foreman called the crew together, Jack's stomach dropped. The client's cutting the budget. We're reducing hours for everyone, effective immediately. Today's a half-day, and we'll be on a 3-day schedule until further notice. Jack's careful financial balance shattered. With reduced construction hours, he'd fall behind on rent within weeks. As he drove home, His mind raced through options: additional night shifts, weekend work, possibly selling his car and using public transport. When he arrived home to change before picking up Emma, a notice on his apartment door froze him in place. The building had been sold, and rents would increase by 30% in 60 days. It was legal but devastating. Jack slumped against his kitchen counter, allowing himself exactly 1 minute of despair before straightening. He'd figure this out. He always did. After collecting Emma from school, he forced cheerfulness as they walked to the park. While she played on the swings, he made calls, seeking additional work opportunities, but came up empty. The economy was tight and unskilled labor was plentiful. "Daddy, look how high I can go." Emma called, pumping her legs on the swing. "Amazing, sweetheart, you're almost flying." He tucked his worries away, focusing on her joy. That evening, after Emma was asleep, Jack arrived at Levine Towers for his shift, his mind still churning with financial calculations. "Rough day?" Miguel asked, noting Jack's distraction. "Construction hours got cut and my rent's going up," Jack admitted. "I'm looking for more work if you hear anything." Miguel shook his head sympathetically. "Man, that's tough. I'll keep my ears open." The night was quiet until Jack's radio crackled around midnight. "Keller, front desk. Visitor for you." Puzzled, Jack headed to the lobby, stopping short when he saw Jasmine Levine waiting, dressed casually in jeans and a simple blouse, a stark contrast to her elegant appearance the night before. "Miss Levine," he said, surprised, "is everything all right?" "Perfectly fine," she assured him. "And please, it's Jasmine. I was hoping to speak with you briefly." Miguel raised his eyebrows suggestively behind her back. Jack ignored him, leading Jasmine to a quiet corner of the lobby. "How can I help you?" he asked. "Actually, I came to offer you something." She handed him a business card. "I've recently acquired a property management company, and we need a resident manager for a building in Westside Heights. The position includes an apartment in the building." "I thought of you immediately." Jack stared at the card. "Why me?" "You handled yourself exceptionally well last night. Professional, observant, good instincts, those are valuable qualities." She paused. "And frankly, you mentioned wanting better hours for your daughter." This would be a standard workday with occasional evening responsibilities, but much more family-friendly. Jack's mind raced. A resident manager position would solve his housing crisis and employment issues simultaneously. "I don't have property management experience," he admitted. "But you have construction knowledge and security background, both relevant skills. There's training provided." She smiled. "Would you be interested in interviewing?" "Absolutely," Jack said without hesitation. "Thank you for considering me." "Excellent." "The interview is with the company director, Raj Patel. I've already recommended you, but the final decision is his." She handed him another card. "Tomorrow at 10 a.m. Will that work with your schedule?" "I'll make it work," Jack assured her. As she turned to leave, she added, "Oh, and Jack. This isn't charity. I don't do charity when it comes to business. This is an opportunity I believe you're qualified for." The next morning, after arranging for Emma to go to school with a neighbor's child, Jack arrived at the address on the card, a modern office building downtown. The interview with Raj Patel was thorough but friendly, focusing on Jack's practical experience and problem-solving abilities. "Jasmine speaks very highly of you," Raj said finally, "and your background checks out impressively. The position is yours if you want it." Jack tried to maintain his composure as Raj outlined the details: a salary nearly double his combined current income, health benefits, the 2-bedroom apartment, and regular hours. It seemed too good to be true. "May I ask why Miss Levine took a personal interest in this position?" "It seems unusual for a CEO to be involved in hiring a property manager." Raj smiled. "Jasmine has a special interest in this particular building. It's being renovated as affordable housing for working families, particularly single parents. She's quite passionate about the project." 2 weeks later, Jack and Emma moved into their new apartment in the newly christened Emma Gardens, a name Jack found suspiciously coincidental. but didn't question. The building was undergoing final renovations, with Jack overseeing the process and preparing for tenant applications. His first day on the job, he received a text message from an unknown number. "How's the new position?" Jack saved the number before responding. "Incredible. Emma and I are settling in well. Thank you for the opportunity." "My pleasure. We'll be visiting the property next week for a progress review. See you then." Jack found himself looking forward to seeing Jasmine again, though he reminded himself to maintain professional boundaries. Her interest was clearly in the property, not in him personally. The following Tuesday, Jasmine arrived for her site visit in a sleek black Audi, dressed in business casual attire that somehow still managed to look elegant. She greeted Jack warmly before they began touring the building. "The renovations are progressing beautifully," she commented as they inspected the community room. "Any major issues to report?" "Nothing significant. The contractor had to rewire some of the older units, but we're still on schedule." As they continued the tour, Jack noticed Jasmine taking genuine interest in the details, asking questions about accessibility features and family-friendly amenities. This wasn't just another investment property to her. "Why this project?" he finally asked as they finished the tour in his office. "You must have dozens of more profitable investments." Jasmine considered his question, leaning against his desk. "My mother was a single parent after my father's first bankruptcy. We lived in a series of terrible apartments because that's all she could afford while she put herself through nursing school. She died when I was 12, and my father had rebuilt his fortune by then, so I went from poverty to privilege overnight." She smiled sadly. "This project is for her and for families like yours." Jack was touched by her candor. "I'm sorry about your mother." "Thank you. It was a long time ago." She straightened. "Now, are you free for lunch? I'd like to discuss the tenant selection process." Their lunch at a nearby cafe extended nearly 2 hours as they discussed not just the property but their personal lives as well. Jack found himself sharing stories about Emma's recent school projects, while Jasmine talked about the challenges of taking over her father's company. "Most of the board members still see me as the little girl who visited the office on school holidays," she admitted. "Proving myself has been challenging." "Is that why Hughes is pushing for a merger? He doesn't think you can handle things alone." Jasmine raised an eyebrow. "Very perceptive." "Yes, essentially. He wants to absorb my company into his conglomerate, with me as a figurehead with limited actual power." "That seems like a waste of your talents," Jack said honestly. She smiled, genuinely pleased by his assessment. "I think so too." As weeks passed, Jasmine's visits to the property became more frequent, often extending beyond business discussions into personal conversations. Jack found himself increasingly drawn to her intelligence, compassion, and unexpected sense of humor. She, in turn, seemed to enjoy his practical perspective and straightforward approach to problems. One evening, after reviewing tenant applications together, Jasmine suggested they order dinner to continue working. As they ate Chinese takeout in his apartment, Emma burst in from her playdate next door. "Daddy, I drew a picture of our new home," and she stopped, noticing Jasmine. "Oh, hello, Emma, this is Miss Levine. She owns the building." "You can call me Jasmine," she said, smiling warmly at Emma. "I love your sneakers." Emma beamed, looking down at her light-up shoes. "They flash when I jump. Wanna see?" "Absolutely." Jack watched in amazement as Jasmine set aside her work to admire Emma's jumping demonstration, then listened intently to her detailed explanation of her art project. There was nothing condescending in her interaction. She spoke to Emma with the same respect she showed adults. After Emma went to her room to prepare for bed, Jasmine turned to Jack. "She's wonderful. You're doing an amazing job with her." "I'm trying," he said simply. "It's not always easy, but it's always worth it." "I can see that." Jasmine gathered her papers. "I should let you handle bedtime routines. Thank you for dinner." At the door, she hesitated. "Jack, would you and Emma like to join me this Saturday?" I have tickets to the Natural History Museum's new dinosaur exhibit, and I remember Emma mentioning she loves dinosaurs. Jack felt a warning flag rise in his mind. This was beginning to feel less like a professional relationship. I appreciate the offer, but I wouldn't want to cross any lines. You're technically my employer. Jasmine considered this. Technically, Levine Properties is your employer, and I'm the majority shareholder of the parent company, but I understand your concern. She smiled. What if I phrase it differently? I'd like to spend time with you and Emma outside of work because I enjoy your company. The dinosaurs are just a bonus. Put that way, Jack found himself agreeing. Emma would love it, and so would I. Saturday at the museum transformed something between them. Watching Jasmine crouch beside Emma to examine fossilized footprints, her face alight with the same wonder as his daughter's, Jack felt a surge of emotion he hadn't experienced in years. When Emma ran ahead to the next exhibit, Jasmine's hand brushed against his, lingering before gently intertwining their fingers. "Is this okay?" she asked quietly. Jack nodded, squeezing her hand gently. "More than okay." After the museum, they had ice cream in the park, where Emma regaled Jasmine with dinosaur facts she'd learned. When Emma went to play on the nearby playground, Jasmine turned to Jack. "I've never done this before," she admitted. "Eaten ice cream in the park," she laughed. "No." "Dated someone with a child, or someone who works for a company I own, or someone who isn't from my usual social circle." She paused. "Is that what we're doing? Dating?" "I'd like it to be," Jack said honestly, "but it's complicated." "Life is complicated," she countered. "The question is whether it's worth navigating those complications." Their conversation was interrupted by Emma's return, but the question lingered between them. Over the following weeks, they established a careful rhythm, keeping their professional interactions separate from personal time. Jack was adamant about not receiving special treatment at work, while Jasmine was equally determined that Emma never feel their relationship was anything but genuine. Their third date was dinner at Jasmine's penthouse after Emma was asleep with a trusted babysitter. As they enjoyed wine on her balcony overlooking the city, Jasmine broached the subject they'd been dancing around. "People will talk," she said. "About both of us. They'll say you're after my money or that I'm slumming for the excitement." Jack nodded. "I know, does that bother you?" "No. But I worry it might affect you and Emma." "Emma's happiness and well-being come first," Jack said firmly. "Always. If this becomes harmful to her in any way, we'd need to reconsider." Jasmine touched his face gently. "That's one of the things I admire most about you, Jack. Your priorities are clear." When they kissed for the first time that night, it felt like crossing a threshold they couldn't return from. Neither wanted to. Their relationship deepened over the following months, with Jasmine becoming a regular presence in Jack and Emma's lives. She never tried to replace Emma's mother, but established her own connection with the girl, supporting her interests and respecting Jack's parenting decisions. Jack, meanwhile, thrived in his position, implementing community programs in the building and creating a supportive environment for the tenants, many of whom were single parents like himself. The success of Emma Gardens led to Jasmine appointing him as project consultant for similar developments, recognizing his practical insight was valuable. Of course, challenges emerged. Jonathan Hughes launched a hostile takeover attempt of Levine Enterprises, publicly questioning Jasmine's leadership and privately suggesting her relationship with Jack was evidence of poor judgment. Tabloids published unflattering stories about their relationship, with headlines like "Billionaire's blue-collar boyfriend," "Gold digger," or "True love." Through it all, they protected Emma from the publicity while being honest with her about their relationship in age-appropriate ways. "Do you love Jasmine, Daddy?" Emma asked one night as he tucked her in, 6 months into their relationship. "I do," he answered honestly. "Very much." "Good," Emma declared. "She makes you smile more, and she knows all the dinosaur names." The simple validation from his daughter meant everything. When Jasmine successfully defended against Hughes' takeover attempt, proving her business acumen to her skeptical board. Jack was there to celebrate privately, away from the corporate victory party. "You knew I could do it," she said, as they swayed to music in her living room. "I never doubted it," he confirmed. "You're the most capable person I've ever met. Even though I still can't figure out how to use your ancient coffee maker," he laughed. "Domestic appliances aside, yes." She rested her head against his chest. "I love you, Jack." "I love you too," he replied, the words simple but profound. Nearly a year after their first meeting in the Levine Towers lobby, Jack and Emma moved into Jasmine's penthouse. The transition was carefully planned, with Emma maintaining her school and friends, and Jack continuing his work with the housing projects, now expanded to 3 successful properties. Life wasn't perfect. They navigated the complexities of blending their lives, managing public scrutiny, and occasionally confronting the vast differences in their backgrounds. But the foundation of respect, honesty, and genuine care for each other overcame the obstacles. On a crisp autumn evening, exactly 1 year after Jack had rescued Jasmine from her persistent admirer, she organized a special dinner on the rooftop garden where they'd first truly spoken. "I have something to ask you," she said, after they'd enjoyed their meal. "That sounds serious," Jack teased, though his heart raced at her tone. "It is." She took his hand. "I've been thinking about family, what it means, how it's built. My childhood taught me that wealth doesn't make a family happy. My time with you and Emma has shown me what truly matters." She produced a small velvet box. "Jack Keller, would you and Emma consider making our family official? Will you marry me?" Jack's surprise must have shown on his face because she laughed softly. "Too modern. I should have let you ask." "No," he said quickly. "It's perfect." "You've never been conventional. Why start now?" He opened the box to find 2 rings, one clearly for him, and a smaller one. "2. One for you and one for Emma. I'm not just asking to marry you, I'm asking to be a family with both of you." I thought Emma might like to have something too, to symbolize that. Jack felt tears prick his eyes at the thoughtfulness of including his daughter in this moment. "Yes, my answer is absolutely yes, and I'm quite certain Emma's will be too." The next day, they asked Emma together, explaining what marriage would mean for their family. When Jasmine presented her with the delicate ring designed to be worn as a necklace until she was older, Emma's face lit with joy. "Does this mean I get a mom again?" she asked. "If you'd like that," Jasmine said carefully, glancing at Jack. "I'd be honored to be your mom, but I'll never try to replace your birth mother." Emma considered this with 7-year-old solemnity before declaring, "I think having 2 moms is okay, one who made me and one who chose me." They married 6 months later in a private ceremony with Emma as their flower girl. The reception was held at Emma Gardens, with residents joining the celebration alongside business associates and friends, a symbolic blending of their worlds. As they danced together as a family, Jack reflected on the unlikely path that had brought them together. A security guard and a billionaire, it sounded like a fantasy. But their connection had never been about wealth or status. It was about finding someone who valued the same things: family, integrity, purpose. "What are you thinking about?" Jasmine asked, noticing his contemplative expression. "How differently things might have gone if I hadn't been working that night you needed rescuing." She smiled, watching Emma twirl nearby in her party dress. "I think we would have found each other anyway. Some things are just meant to be." Jack kissed her gently, surrounded by the community they'd built together, his heart full with the knowledge that his greatest struggle had led to his greatest joy. "For once, I think the billionaire might be right," he teased, pulling her closer as they began the next dance of their lives together.